What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined today by Ali and Will, doing another one of our midweek live streams discussing the New York Giants and previewing the upcoming preseason matchup between the Giants and the Jets. I guess you could say this is a rivalry matchup if you consider it to be one. Some fans do, some fans don't. They don't even play in the same conference, but they play in the same stadium, share the same stadium, all that fun stuff. So, final preseason game. Allie, how are you doing as we get closer to the preseason finale, and what are your thoughts on it?
Honestly, I consider this a rivalry. I think Jet fans are really freaking annoying, and I have no faith that we will even win this preseason game, to be honest. And I'm not ready to hear Jet fans celebrate and talk about how they run New York and how they are a New York's team, even though they haven't even won a Super Bowl in how many years. But besides the point, I am doing very well. Seeing the videos from joint practice hasn't been making me super confident, hasn't been making me happy. I don't think they're as bad as some fans are making them out to be, but that's how I'm feeling. What about you, Will?
Second day of classes today.
Ooh.
No, it'll be good. But I really haven't been on my phone much today, so I haven't seen too much about the joint practice. I do know that one of the edges destroyed Max Mitchell, I think it was, in a one-on-one. It was just one rep, so I don't know what happened after that. But yeah, I don't really like Jet fans either. Can't lie. So hopefully we beat them.
Yeah, no, they're so annoying. I live with some Jet fans too, so I hear it every single day.
My grandfather's a Jet fan, and I told him one time that the Jets sucked, and he told me if I ever said that again, that I would never go to another Giants game. So I never said that again to his face, because I'm not giving up Giants games.
All right, so Will, you said something in there that I thought was interesting. You really want to win this game. Do you guys care about a preseason record? Some fans do. Some fans want to go undefeated in the preseason. Others don't care at all. I don't really care. I think that it matters for the players, obviously. Like, I think that, for example, Tommy DeVito played 3 quarters in that first preseason game because Drew Lock got hurt. He pretty much won them that game. He was the starting quarterback, essentially. Like, he played 3 full quarters. I think that's important for confidence. You know, some players go out there, they make a key play that ends up winning the game for the team. I think that helps their confidence as they continue to compete throughout the summer and try and make a roster spot. Talking backup players, of course, and guys who maybe never will play in the regular season or don't plan to, but then injuries occur and now they have to play. That's where I think preseason wins and losses matter and where they come into play. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Do you have any care for the preseason record? I'll ask you first, Allie, get your perspective on it.
Honestly, I don't really care about a preseason record. Like, to be fair, some of the players that play in these games won't even make a roster. But to what you were saying, I do think it helps with confidence. Me personally, I like watching like the preseason games just to see preseason gems like come to light, like Elijah Chapman, who rose up and he's been like a fun one to watch. And I think that's why I watch preseason more so, to see what players can step up, who could potentially steal a roster spot, who is someone that went underrated for me during camp but is standing out now in like a game setting. And I think that's usually what I watch for. I don't really care too much about who wins or who loses, unless, you know, you're the Jets and this is your Super Bowl beating us in a preseason game. But besides that, that's kind of why I watch preseason games.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I really don't care about wins and losses in the preseason. I'm just watching it to see who stands out, which of the, you know, late round draft picks stand out, any of the depth guys stand out, because like Ali said, if there's any injuries, they're going to have to step up in the regular season. So no, I really don't care about wins or losses, but just watching the players and see who stands out from the depth guys.
All right, so then, Will, who has stood out to you so far? 2 preseason games, a lot of training camp practices, summer practices. Who's been one of your, if not the biggest standout for you? You can obviously pick whoever you want. You can go unknown player at the start of camp, Elijah Chapman. That's an example. You could go big name star Malik Neighbors. But who has been that one player that's really stood out to you this summer?
Brian Burns. That guy is a dog. I mean, in the preseason game against the Texans. Had a nasty spin move. I don't know if it was Laramie Tunsil. I couldn't watch that game. We had a scrimmage that day, but he had a nasty spin move. He looked like he's working hard all summer, all training camp. Looks like he's ready to to get right into the regular season. I'm predicting 10 sacks for him, but he's been my standout guy. I know that we knew what he was when he was coming over, so it really shouldn't have been a surprise. But just seeing a player of his caliber work and play in the preseason, it's been a treat, and he's my biggest standout.
I like it. I feel like me on the offensive side of the ball, we talked about him after week 1. Still excited about him. My guy Eric Gray, who we thought was going to be, who's on the roster bubble, we thought he was going to be cut. I'm not thinking that now. He's been fun. Him and all the running backs, I think, have been fun. Just to reiterate points that we've made before, there's that big question: how are the Giants going to fill the Saquon Barkley void? We have Malik Neighbors to be our playmaker, but with this running back room, I think we have enough to kind of forget about Saquon at this point, moving on to the future. So that's kind of who's been making me happy. What about you, Ant? I don't even think we asked you these questions.
Yeah, obviously Malik Neighbors has stood out tremendously. I think that he's just been the shining star for the Giants all summer. That's pretty much the one. There's been some interesting standout performers here or there, but consistently throughout the summer, the guy who stood out the most, other than the two that you've mentioned, would probably be Malik Neighbors. I'd also throw out Tyrone Tracy Jr. It's kind of cool that 2 running backs get brought up in this discussion. Shows the amount of depth and talent that the Giants have in that room. Like I mentioned earlier, Elijah Chapman, a real riser late in this summer period. Those are the guys that I think have just been the biggest standouts. But another main storyline heading into this game, the New York Jets confirmed yesterday that they will not be playing their starters. The Giants have not made that publicly known, but the assumption here is that they also won't be playing their starters. Now, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Everybody here knows how I feel about this. The Giants should be playing their starters. Their starters should have played in the week 1 preseason game, should have played in week 2, and should be playing in week 3, whether you're talking 5 snaps or 50 snaps. Obviously not 50, but 5 snaps or 20 snaps, sure. The Giants starters should be playing, in my opinion. But I'll let you guys share your opinions on that. Maybe you have different opinions. Maybe you're trying to bubble wrap the team, keep them healthy for week 1. I don't know, but like I said, that's the opinion that I've shared and I've been very strong about, but I'm curious to hear any other perspectives. I guess we'll start with you, Allie.
For me, it's obviously you don't want to play favorites and sit some starters and have other starters start, but the biggest one there should be Daniel Jones should play. He didn't look good last preseason game. He sat out the first one. He needs those reps. I'm so sorry. He does not look prepared in my eyes to go out there and play good football week 1. I still think he needs as much practice reps as he can, especially with another team's defense that's not your own team, and a team like the Jets who have really good depth, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He needs to see these defenses. He also needs to get his chemistry down with Neighbors. There was too many times he was throwing the ball at Neighbors' feet in joint practices. They still need to play football. And I don't know. If they sit them, it's I can understand why, last one, you want to go into the season with your team healthy. But if your team doesn't look fit to play football, they should be playing. They don't look ready as a team to go and play competitive football.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Daniel Jones obviously it was his first real game, first game experience back from his ACL tear, but he looked rusty. He threw 2 picks, and I think he finished with 170 odd yards, I think. But he just didn't look like he was ready to play in the regular season. So I think for me, definitely, in my opinion, if I was the head coach, obviously I'm not, but if I was, I would have the starters go out for at least 10 plays and go from there just to give them as much live game reps as possible before the season starts. Obviously, like Allie said, they just don't look like they're ready to play competitive football, and that's obviously not a good sign at all. So I would be playing our starters, and seeing how they fare in their last preseason game, see if they can knock any of the rust off from that week against the Texans. But who knows what's going to happen? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard a lot of that this week. We've heard rust is the number one thing that held Daniel Jones back in that second preseason game. And that's kind of where I felt validated for standing up on the soapbox going into that week 2 preseason game and saying Daniel Jones should have played in week 1. That should have been where he knocked his rust off. Preseason game, week 1. He wasn't touched during this physical week of practice, joint practices with the Lions that everybody talked about. You can't touch the quarterback. I thought that was the time to give him 5 or 6 passing plays to throw the ball on a drive or 2, then sit. Just get rid of that first initial shock of returning to a football field for the first time since November. That's how I felt about it. The Giants didn't play him. He goes into that week 2 preseason game. Looks like that shock of returning to the football field hit him hard. He looked rusty. Now, I'm not saying definitively that he's going to have a terrible year or that was any indication of the year to come. All I'm saying is he was rusty. This was a coaching staff error in my mind. And again, because of how rusty he looked in the second preseason game, it's going to be an error when they choose not to have Daniel Jones play again in the third preseason game. So that's the way I feel about it. I feel really strongly about it. He's a player coming off of 9 months of no football. Like, he needs all the reps that he can get. So I want to see him out there. We probably won't. And I don't know. That could definitely open a can of worms that we're not going to dive into and have this larger discussion about Brian Daboll and the way that he has prepared for the regular season the last 2 years. I'm only going to touch on it briefly and make some points. The country club atmosphere in last year's training camp clearly came back to bite them at the start of last regular season. The fact that the starters only played 1 legitimate drive in the entirety of last preseason, at least they got a full half in this preseason, but I still don't think the lesson has been learned, and I'm just getting nervous that it's going to be a tough pill to swallow a few weeks into the season if there is still some rust by the time we get to week 3 when that schedule really strengthens and gets really tough. If they haven't picked up those first 2 wins that they need from the Vikings and the Commanders going into that long stretch of the season, it's going to be a long season. So that's why I'm saying these preseason games should be treated as legitimate practices. They should be playing hard and trying to hit the ground running by week 1. You can't play scared. You can't have the fear of injuries preventing you from going through your due diligence and process. So that's my whole final take on it. I don't want to talk about it anymore, but if you guys have anything left to say, go for it.
Well, I think I have 2 things. Taking away from Daniel Jones on the offense side of the ball, I feel like some of those starters, especially in the secondary, should also get as much practice as they can. They look a little rough, and obviously they're younger players, and so I kind of have more confidence and more faith in the potential they have moving forward. It's just they're young and they need experience, and I feel like even if you're not against Garrett Wilson and the top receivers, it'll just be nice to kind of see them take the field. Last year, we didn't play our starters against the Jets, and they still did it. So I don't see why we can't do the same. Okay, just because they're not playing their starters doesn't mean we can't. There's a lot of people who need as much practice as they can.
Yeah, especially a guy like Daniel Jones who went 9 months without any football. Practice is great. You can see a lot, but preseason is a live game rep. And you need as much of those before you ramp up into the regular season. So, yeah, I would have liked to see the starters, but I guess it's all right.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull up this comment from my boy Matt, who I do Big Apple Blitz with. Anthony should eat a chicken cutlet for every point the Giants score when Tommy DeVito is in this game. If that's something you all want to see, if that's what you want to watch, let me know. Maybe I'll go ahead and I'll eat a bunch of chicken cutlets. Although with this Giants team, I don't know how many chicken cutlets that would possibly be. Maybe not very many at all. You know how the Giants offense struggles to score. Guys, I've seen 2 people now. Someone said, "Where's Copizzle?" Someone said Copizzle is an idiot. What did he do? Why are we taking shots at Copizzle? Leave the guy alone. He's not even here. Unless he's saying something about me and I don't know it, which has happened many times before. Let me know. Tag me on Twitter. Don't be taking shots at the community. It's all good. It's all good. It's all love. One love here at Fireside Giants. Don't be taking shots at people. Let's see. What else do we want to discuss? I'm thinking we talk about Elijah Chapman here. We've talked about him a lot on our recent live stream, but he's been a standout. He's the guy that really won a starting job during the preseason, and it was fun to watch. I don't know if the Giants I know Giants fans have been really excited about undrafted free agents. Pretty much every year they pick one and they fall in love with them. You know, Bryce Wheaton was a guy last year. There's somebody 2 years ago. You know, there's always one player.
Victor Cruz.
Well,
they're still in love with Bryce Ford Wheaton.
I was getting to before you rudely interrupted me, Will. Just kidding.
I got excited.
The point that I was making here is I haven't seen the Giants internally this excited about an undrafted free agent since Victor Cruz. Like, Giants fans get excited about somebody every year. The Giants seem excited about Elijah Chapman, which feels different to me. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me, but I think there's legitimate hype around the kid, not just from the fan base, but from the coaching staff and the team as well. And I think that bodes really well for hopefully what is a successful NFL future for Elijah Chapman.
For sure. You have to love a kid with heart as well. You know, going undrafted, he came from a team who cut him. What they said, like his arms are too small or something. Like he didn't have like the length. Like I forgot what exactly they said about him, and that's kind of why they cut him. And then to come and make a name for yourself and be a standout and have a team so excited to have you, where fans are like, he needs to be on this roster, which I feel like he is. That's fun to see. You love to see undrafted guys come make a statement, want it really bad, and to kind of see them have success in the league. It's nice to see. It makes me emotional a little bit.
Especially for a guy like Elijah Chapman. And I mean, he's playing a position that is the Giants don't have a lot of depth there outside of Dexter Lawrence. And Chapman kind of fits the mold of someone who's going to work well beside Dexter Lawrence. I mean, he's kind of like him. He's fast. I mean, you saw him chase down that running back last week. I don't know who it was, but I mean, he looked like he was being shot out of a cannon. And for a defensive line to look that fast, defensive tackle to look that fast is kind of unheard of. He has great footwork. He can use moves to get around guards, centers. He can use power rushing. So I haven't seen a UDFA get this much internal love from the Giants besides Victor Cruz, I think. And what did he have?
Yeah, I'm going to add up to my point. It wasn't his arms. They said he didn't have the length to play in the NFL. The Seahawks liked him, but that's what they told him.
Matt, maybe you can provide some clarity for me or Barney. Do the Giants content providers have a Bobby or a Gator? I think that's a Jets insider community thing. I don't know. You guys got to clarify for me. I would love to answer this question if I could know the answer to the question. Anyway, someone said the Vikings have a lot of injuries. Giants need to start strong. I think that ties into that conversation we had earlier about the Giants needing to treat the preseason with dire care and go into the regular season and get off to a strong start. Looking ahead to that preseason week 1 game, I think, that regular season week 1 game versus the Vikings. There are a lot of different moving parts there and a lot of storylines. The number one primary storyline that's easiest to react to is that the Giants will be playing a regular season home opener game in week 1 in the ugliest uniforms of all time. Anybody got some thoughts?
Oh my God, it's so ugly, and I hope they aren't cursed just because they are so ugly. There's fans who love them, and I see them like they bought the jerseys. They're like, these are fire.
I think Will is a closeted lover of the century red uniforms.
Really? You like them? Me and my dad got into like a little like debate or argument because we were like buying our new jerseys for the season, and he kept like going back and forth with me because he was like, "Are you sure you don't want those? Like, you sure you don't want those anniversary unis?" And I was like, "No, I don't want it. I don't want it. No, thank you."
I can't lie. I had a hard time not buying an Andrew Thomas century red jersey. I can't lie. I can't lie. They're clean. I think they're clean. I don't care what anyone says. I think they look good.
All right, but the pants though.
Okay, yeah, the pants make it ugly.
Pants are ugly. If they wore white pants, I think I could get behind them.
They'd be fine. But
what are they? Tan?
The tan is ugly.
Yeah. The khakis.
Yeah, it's like a khaki color. You can't wear that on a football pant. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't know who designed those, like the uniform, but white would have been a lot better.
Them, wasn't there like a little clip in like Hard Knocks, I swear, when they were showing like when they were unveiling them, and they were like, those are nice.
They showed them a Dable and Shane, and they just looked like they were trying to be nice, and I don't blame them. All right. I had something that I was going to bring up earlier. I lost my train of thought. I pivoted to something else, but now it's time to bring it up. Allie, you might be upset with me for this one. All right, you know what? I'm going to spin this in a different perspective because I don't want to be negative here. Darius Slayton looks great. I mean, guys, you know how big of a Darius Slayton fan I am, and you know how I constantly praise him, and I say he is one of the better players on this New York Giants team. He's Mr. Reliable, Mr. Consistency, 750 yards a year, easy auto lock. Why would Giants fans want to trade him? They're crazy. Well, the reason Giants fans wanted to trade him is because they were expecting this massive breakout from Jaylen Hyatt. So that's where I was saying, Allie, you might get upset with me. I'm starting to get concerned about Hyatt. He's awfully quiet. Every time the Giants are having these joint practices, he's relatively quiet. He had a few nice plays at the beginning of camp going up against the Nick McLeod and Cordell Flotts of the world, which is not exactly the cream of the crop in talent. So going into this final preseason game, he's got to play a significant amount of snaps to me, and he needs to show that he can run NFL quality routes. Actually, I'm going to say this in praise of Daniel Jones. Not necessarily praise, but I'm going to exonerate him a little bit of one of his massive crimes from that Houston Texans game. The first pick six, awful. There's no excusing what he did there. The second interception, the throw to Hyatt, not the best throw, could have been better. Also a terrible route from Jaylen Hyatt. If you watch that play, there's, not to get too nuanced here in terms of how wide receivers play football, but after the release, when the receiver starts up the sideline, the goal is to stack the cornerback, meaning your original line, get back on your original line so that the cornerback is directly behind you and it has to go through your back to get to the football. Jaylen Hyatt never does that. He goes free release up the right side and he never stacks. He just runs down the sideline. Maybe he wasn't expecting the ball to come his way, whatever, I'm not sure. That was a bad route by Hyatt, and that's why when people say Hyatt doesn't run NFL-level routes, you can point to a play like that where Daniel Jones didn't make a bad throw there. He didn't make a perfect throw, but if he had a better route, the throw maybe didn't need to be perfect. It could have just been good enough, and it was good enough. So Jaylen Hyatt, let's talk about him. Let's talk about whether or not we're concerned about him. I'm going to be honest. I am starting to get a little bit concerned. He has not taken that step forward. Slayton continues to shine. I think he's going to be fighting for playing time this season because of how good Darius Slayton is and because of how underwhelming of a summer he's had. Allie, I'll let you kick it off.
I can agree. Like you said, I haven't heard pretty much anything about Hyatt for a minute. Like, not saying I forgot about him because I'm a fan of Hyatt, but I'm a bigger Darius Slayton fan, and I'm tired of fans trying to count out Darius Slayton and trying to say that he's not going to have a spot on this offense. I knew from the jump that him and Hyatt were going to be competing, and in my heart, I always felt like that was going to go to Darius Slayton. People forget how dependable he is. He can be a deep threat. He catches the ball. They always bring up how he drops the ball a lot. He fixed that. That's an old narrative. And as far as Hyatt goes, there is potential there. I don't see him being better than Slayton right now. But that's why I felt like it was good to keep Slayton for right now and kind of have Hyatt take those reps behind Slayton. I would feel a lot worse trying to depend on Hyatt than depending on Slayton in a real game time. But that's just how I feel. I love Darius Slayton.
I know one of the issues with Jaylen Hyatt coming out of college was he was kind of like a one route guy, just run fast and you're fine. But obviously in the NFL it doesn't work that way. There's different coverages. They hide their coverages, stuff like that. And Darius Slayton comes out in preseason and like everyone's saying in the chat, he's Mr. Reliable. Like I saw a meme last year saying Darius Slayton could get shot in June and still have 700 yards in the season. Like he's just always going to have 700 yards. Like he's just a guy that. So I think maybe seeing how Hyatt's doing in this preseason and throughout the whole training camp and if people are getting concerned about him, I think the best thing that the Giants should do with him is have Slayton start as the wide receiver 3 and allow Hyatt to work behind him because Slayton is a very he's a good NFL wide receiver. I mean, he has ever since coming into the league, what is he always has had 500 yards. What was he, a 4th, 5th round pick in 2018? Like he's always there whenever the Giants needed him, when they didn't have a wide receiver one, he was there for them. He always steps up. So I think it would be good for Hyatt to sit behind him, Slayton, a little longer and learn from him.
For sure. Going back to how much I love Darius Slayton, everybody makes excuses for Daniel Jones, okay? They don't make any excuses for Slayton, who probably was arguably in an even worse situation, drafted the same year, had to deal with Daniel Jones as his quarterback, as well as other terrible quarterbacks as his quarterback whenever Daniel Jones would get hurt. He was also dealing with bad offensive coordinators. He was also dealing with those bad head coaches. He went through the same exact situation, but probably worse than Daniel Jones has, and he has still found a way to show up. I think he's a team guy. He took the pay cut. He started off a season on the bench, and then came back to being our guy. Like, for a loose analogy, I'm not saying they're the same player. Adam Thielen on the Vikings, that was reliable. Like, yes, they had like their flashy toys, but you threw the ball to Thielen, he was catching the ball. And I feel like that's kind of how Slayton is with us now. That's our guy. We know we can depend on him always.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a huge proponent of extending Slayton for, how long? I'm not even sure. Last offseason, I wanted him extended. This offseason, when he had the problems with, the contract dispute, I said that they should just extend him and get it over with. I'm still on the same train. Like, you got to extend the guy because he is reliable. You can't just bank on the upside of Hyatt. You never know if a player is or isn't going to pan out. Like, it's very important to take your constants. And I think that constancy is important. And having constancy at wide receiver with Slayton has been extremely important for this team for a while. I'm going to pull up that the all 22 on that Daniel Jones interception here, just because we haven't done anything like this on the channel in a long time. And I know that a lot of the viewers really do like it when I pull up some stuff. So I'm going to pull this one up and just kind of watch it through and try and show you guys. I'm not going to be able to get rid of the darkness on the screen, unfortunately, but I'm going to try and show you guys what I meant here with this Hyatt route. So you see how he started this route and he's going towards the outside. Oh, you could see my mouse. That's perfect. And he's going towards the outside. He's supposed to get back on this main line. Let me see if I can rewind this just a second. All right, here we go. Let's break this down. Okay, so ball is snapped, release off the line of scrimmage. This was his line, correct? So this would be the line that he wants to follow. You know what? I do have the screen brush. Let's do it. Boom. Yeah, baby, we are so back. Football is back. Okay, that's the line that he needs to get on. But he's going to take this release outside. Okay, that's fine. Release outside to gain leverage on the cornerback, sure. But he still needs to work his way back to this line. All right, now if we watch it, does he work his way back to that line? No. Never. He never works his way back to that line, and that's why that ball gets picked off. So this is like a rare moment where I'm going to sit here and I'm going to totally defend Daniel Jones. Not completely, because, again, I think this ball could have been better and given Hyatt more of a chance. But Hyatt does no favors for Daniel Jones here. So pulling this up and then watching the play. Again, now I'll pull that screen up again, and okay, the camera moved, so that didn't, and I don't know how to use the screen brush too well, so I can't really do much more than what I just did, but that's the breakdown. Look at how close he is to the sideline here. That's like the number one tell that he ran a bad route. He is within a couple feet of the sideline. He's given Daniel Jones zero room for error. He has not worked his way back from the boundary to the original line, so he never stacked the cornerback. Like, essentially, you see how this receiver is right in front of this defensive back? Actually, you see how Neighbors is directly in front of that defensive back? That means that back is stacked. That means this back is stacked. This is not stacked. The cornerback is stacked on top of Jaylen Hyatt. Therefore, he didn't do his job on this route, and that's why we got the interception from Daniel Jones. So I'll just let it play out now if everybody wants to watch it. But that's the perspective I was going through looking at some all 22 earlier. And I thought that was worth noting. So I think that's a pretty good way to just kind of wrap the discussion on Jaylen Hyatt. Because, sometimes you say you're concerned about a player, and, sometimes viewers in our audience don't understand where the concerns come from. But I think a visual aid like that really helps kind of conceptualize, like, there are valid reasons to be concerned. It's not just the lack of production. It's not like, oh, well, who's throwing him the ball? It's not that question mark. That had nothing really to do with Jones. And Jeffrey brings up a good point. That is an elite cornerback. Texans are really freaking good, and this is the time to make those mistakes preseason. But you do just want to see Jaylen Hyatt make better routes than this and not, lose these kind of reps. So yeah, but that's just kind of to wrap up the discussion on Jaylen Hyatt. If anybody has closing thoughts, though.
I mean, back on that pretty elite cornerback thing, though, like, who is Hyatt going to be playing during the regular season, though? It's not going to be backup cornerbacks. They're going to be good cornerbacks, so he still has to make a play no matter how elite a cornerback may be. I've seen that come up a lot, even with the Jets joint practices, like with Garrett Wilson cooking Nick McLeod. It's like, oh, well, Garrett Wilson is a top 5 receiver. Who do you think Nick McLeod is going to be facing during the regular season? Like, really break it down. In week 1, we got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. We play the Bengals, Jamar Chase. We play Cowboys twice a year who have CeeDee Lamb. We have the Eagles who have a trio receiver now. You have the Commies who still have Terry McLaurin. Like, they're not going to be playing scrubs. So it's like you can't really use that as an excuse. Like, oh, they're still a good player. They still need to make a play. I don't really care how good the player is. Make the play.
Yeah, make the play. Figure it out.
Yeah, do it. You can't win in this league, like, with people making excuses. Like, do you think, like, they're like, oh, it's okay that you got cooked. That person was really good. Like, they're not gonna do that. You want to win in this league, you have to be able to hold your own against the best. That just goes without saying.
Yeah, I think that's a good counterpoint. Like, Jeffrey's right in saying that's an elite cornerback, but you're right in countering and saying Hyatt's going to face elite cornerbacks, especially, in our division. There are some good defensive backs. I mean, it's always open to debate when we're talking about NFC East cornerbacks. Like, some people think Trayvon Diggs is elite. Some people think he's terrible. Same thing with Darius Slay. Some say he's elite. Some say he's terrible. Emmanuel Forbes. Some think he's going to be good. Others think he's terrible. So, maybe these defensive backs in the NFC East aren't as great as I initially let on. Maybe they are. I don't know. Everything's different every single year. But speaking of the NFC East, I don't have a strong opinion about this. I don't really care. But Johan Dotson interdivision trade goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. I imagine you probably have a strong opinion about this, Allie, just because you're so into fantasy football. So I have to think that you've probably got some better intel than I can provide. But I'm sure fans would like to get some sort of perspective on Johan Dotson interdivision trade going from the Commanders to the Eagles.
Well, I think Dotson has a lot of potential. I don't understand why the Commanders even did that trade. They lost Curtis Samuel. You have a rookie quarterback. You need to have those weapons. I don't know if they just trust Luke McCaffrey that much or if they're working on something else. Like, all you really have is Scary Terry. But they gave the Eagles the wide receiver 3 that they need. I really think Dotson has a lot of potential. I think the Eagles are really going to get that out of him. It's just a scary trio. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dotson. Like, I don't know why the Commanders did that. I'm actually, like, genuinely really confused, considering that I don't think they really have much receivers on that depth chart outside of McCaffrey, who's their rook. So I don't know. It's a really dumb trade by the Commanders, in my opinion.
Will, you got anything to add here?
There's a bigger fish on the market that they might be trying to go for. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah?
We can hear you.
Think
Brandon Ayuk?
After seeing this trade, Brandon Ayuk. I think that might be the bigger fish they're trying to go for. It kind of seems that way. Like, why would they trade Johan Dotson when they just got, a young quarterback in the draft and they don't have a lot of options at receiver? Just kind of doesn't make sense. But who knows? I don't know what's going to happen with Ayuk, and I don't know. Maybe they just thought Dotson would have a better chance of succeeding with them, with the Eagles, rather than with the Commanders. So it's a little bit of a confusing trade, but even then, I still don't understand. And to a division rival too. It's like, unless they get Ayuk, this trade doesn't really make much sense to me. But it takes away a threat from the Commanders. I almost just said they're dead, but sorry for
no, it really does. But, I saw it and I genuinely tweaked because I was like, I don't understand this at all, especially after they lost Curtis Samuel. Like, losing Curtis Samuel, you're thinking, okay, they trust Dotson to take over, and then they get rid of him, and it's like, okay, what are you doing? Unless they're depending on Scary Terry and Zach Ertz to carry them through the season. I have absolutely no idea what they're doing. I think Zach Ertz is their tight end, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Their depth chart.
So
But I don't know.
yeah.
It's an odd trade. Super odd.
Yeah.
I don't like that from the Commies, and I don't like that for Jaden Daniels, to be honest. I just feel like what a horrible situation to go into as a rookie quarterback.
Exactly. It's kind of like when the Giants traded OBJ before they drafted Daniel Jones, but they got Dexter Lawrence out of that trade, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll cope. We can do with
it's
Dexter
not really
Lawrence. He's pretty. Dexter Lawrence is pretty freaking good.
Yeah, he's a beast.
I think Johan Dotson did cook us, actually. Wait. Hold on.
I mean, he had 523 yards his first year, 518, 7 touchdowns his first year, 4 his second. Like, I mean, yeah, it's not great.
I like
but
Dotson a lot. That's why I'm so confused. Let me see. Okay, see y'all.
Like, it's not great, but after Luke McCaffrey, who do they have as wide receiver options? I'm trying to think. I don't even know.
They got Scary Terry, who I like, but I don't really. I'm trying to see if there's like a play, like a game by game.
Let's see.
Looking for the game log on Johan Dotson. Is that it?
All I have here: 17 catches, 225 yards, and 3 touchdowns in just 4 games against the Giants in his career.
He was born in New Jersey.
Yeah, he had in December of 2022, he had 4 catches for 105 yards and 1 touchdown. That's probably the game you're thinking of. Anyway, it was December 18th, 2022. 4 catches on 6 targets, 105 yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
Johan Dotson versus the Giants.
Who was
the quarterback at that point?
BW Webb.
BW Webb. I forgot he existed. Holy shit. BW Webb. My God.
BW Webb.
Do you guys remember Curtis Riley?
That's
Remember that safety that the Giants had that like literally couldn't tackle a grandmother?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Diami Brown. I forgot about that.
I thought he was actually going to be the next safety.
Yeah, of course you did. Well,
Oh,
of course you
Diami
did.
Brown, right? I forgot about him too.
I forgot about Diami Brown. Still.
I just got cooked, chat.
What are they doing?
Anyway, what else do we want to talk about? Let's talk about this. Either of you watch my exclusive interview that I did this week with Justin Tuck?
I did. I love that heavy is the crown quote. That was a great interview. You guys should check it out on Fireside Giants.
Go check it out. Will's silence is deafening. I
know
that he didn't watch it.
On my feed. I wasn't really on Twitter.
Anyway,
I didn't because I didn't see it on my feed.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Anyway, the point that I was going to here, hope you guys all enjoyed it. Go check it out on the channel if you didn't see it yet. Jeffrey, thank you. Catacomb, no problem. It's on the channel if you want to check it out. Point that I was segueing to, back to Brian Burns, because, Will, you brought him up earlier, and you said that he's been your number 1 standout of the summer. Brian Burns, we talked about him, Justin Tuck and I did, because I asked him the perspective, because, we've been having this conversation on the channel all summer long where we were like, Kayvon Thibodeau, in theory, should have a bigger year because he's playing with Brian Burns. In theory, Brian Burns should have a bigger year because he's playing with Dexter Lawrence. In theory, all of these guys should just be a lot more productive because they're playing with each other. So I asked Justin Tuck about that because obviously Tuck played with JPP, with Osi Umenyiora, with Matthias Kiwanuka, underrated New York Giants legend, with Michael Strahan. He played with a lot of these stars, and so he kind of talked about it. And the quote that you just brought up, Allie, he said, heavy is the crown. Like that lead guy, that top dog takes off pressure from other guys and creates a lot of one-on-ones. But then he also said, I issue a challenge to these guys because you have no excuse not to be good. You all have to be super productive this season. I think he made a lot of good points there, and it just kind of brought up kind of ideas for me about this Giants defensive line, how it ties into the secondary not looking so good this summer. Sounds like the Giants are just kind of banking on the quarterback coming out of the ball, or the ball coming out of the quarterback's hands so fast that the secondary's mishaps don't matter nearly as much, like that kind of thing. But I'm just curious to kind of hear everyone's thoughts on kind of what I summarized there from that Tuck interview, about this defensive line, the pass rush, how they're all going to play with one another and open up one-on-one opportunities.
I literally just finished an interview talking about Brian Burns' impact on the D-line as well. Like, taking the pressure off of Dexter Lawrence, off of Kayvon Thibodeau is only going to open up more opportunities because now the offensive lines have to try to figure out, like, how are they going to stop all three of those guys coming in at once. Like, this year going into this season, that D-line is our strength. And it kind of helps out the fact that the secondary is a little weak, because hopefully they're able to get to the quarterback a lot faster. The quarterback's going to have to make a lot of quicker throws. Probably going to get sacked a lot. So the secondary won't have to do as much, hopefully, if everybody does what they're supposed to do. Like, let's say they scheme to get Brian Burns out of the game, you still have Kayvon that's going to come in. You still have Dexter Lawrence, who's a stud, coming, and they try to take Dexy out of the game. You still have Brian Burns. You still have Kayvon. Even the depth, Aziz, when he's healthy and on the field, Aziz makes his impact as well. So it's like, I don't know. It's just, you have that main guy, and now you kind of, what's my word?
It's like trickle-down effect.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. So it's going to be exciting. Defense is our identity right now. They are who I'm most excited to see. Like, outside of Neighbors, don't know how the offense is going to look, but that D-line is going to be nasty.
Yeah, I mean, like, defenses can't just focus on Dexter Lawrence anymore. Now you have Brian Burns, and if you focus on Brian Burns, you're leaving Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau. If you're leaving Thibodeau, you're leaving Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns. So there's having two elite guys on, as in Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence, and Dexter Lawrence, it's just going to make it so much harder for offenses, because now you can't just double or triple team Dexter Lawrence anymore and take away the Giants' pass rush. Now you're going to have to focus on Brian Burns. You're going to have to focus on Kayvon Thibodeau, who just came off an 11.5 sack year. So it's going to be hard for offenses.
Kayvon a bust where?
And
that's all I
am. This D-line is the key to the team, key to the defense.
Oh.
And Kayvon Thibodeau's not a bust. Sorry, Allie.
Yeah, no. Kayvon Thibodeau bust where?
No bust.
Nowhere.
We're going to skip over that one and just move on and continue the discussion. Next thing I got to ask you, it's for you and only you, Will. I do just have to know, how jealous of me are you, because I was about 15 feet from Henrik Lundqvist this past weekend.
I really enjoyed
Matt Rempe.
I really enjoyed seeing all the content come out from that. Allie, did you ever buy that Eli Manning downtown?
No, I was so close, but then I was like, the 400 is so steep for me. I'm just gonna wait on eBay and try to corner it. The eBay payment.
There were so many. I saw a lot of Allie's posts from it. I saw a lot of the WWE stuff. I'm not big into WWE, but that was sick. That was really cool.
Yeah, okay. I feel like I annoyed some of my Giants people with how much wrestling I was posting. It's like, I obviously enjoyed the football portion for sure, but as like a wrestling fan, I had the weekend of my life. I got to see Cody Rhodes like not even like 5 feet away from me. Like, I saw my GOAT CM Punk. I was seeing like these cool ass wrestling entrances. I was geeking out the whole entire time. Best weekend of my life.
Yeah, Fanatics Fest was really cool. I also met a lot of cool people. Anybody who's viewing the channel, I know I met some channel viewers who I met. Shout out to you. It was really cool meeting everybody. I met Michael Rubin. He's friggin' awesome. Cool. That was the coolest experience ever.
Roger Goodell.
That's pretty cool.
Mad at me because I took a picture with him.
Did you tell Michael Rubin that he better not screw up the NHL jerseys next year in 2 years?
We did talk about that, but those reveals won't be brought to light. Those details have to remain private, unfortunately. Corpsier drops a super chat. Thank you so very much. Are any of you going to a Giants live game for this 100th season? For me, it's week 14, December 8th, Saints at Giants. I'm not sure yet. I probably will at one point or another make a trip up to New York and go New York, New Jersey area and go see a game, but I haven't planned one just yet. Really hoping that I do, because as you pointed out in that comment, it is the 100th season. So I feel like it would be wrong of me not to go and make the celebration. So don't have an answer for you, but the answer is probably, I guess, and I'm definitely going to try.
Yeah, me too. There's two I'm scheming on. So I like going to division rivals. It's probably going to be Cowboys that I go to, and I'm pretty sure the Bengals game is a home game as well. I might have to double check that, but if it is, I'm definitely hitting that one. Obviously, to cheer on my Giants, and also to watch Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and my goat T Higgins. So that's going to be a really fun one to watch as well. So those are probably the two that I'm going to.
I don't know. I've been to a Giants game every single year, albeit 2, since second grade, and this is the first year where I am uncertain that I'm going to go to a game. I have to talk to my grandfather. He has the tickets, so I don't know. But I would like to see an Eagles game because I've seen I've seen the Redskins, Commanders and Cowboys, and then now I need to see the Eagles to complete the NFC East.
I've only been to one, and I kind of need to get that one out of my mouth. I bring it up all the time because I hate it. Mike Glennon against the Cowboys.
I haven't seen a Giants win in person since 5th grade, and now I'm a senior in college.
It's so insane. Yeah, I knew Mike Glennon being like the quarterback I was cheering for at my first Giant game is just not okay. Freaking long Glennon. I have so many.
Dude, my first quarterback matchup I saw was Donovan McNabb and Eli Manning in 2010.
McNabb. Oh my god.
That was awesome. That was sick.
You were blessed.
And then it was Mark Sanchez and Eli Manning on Christmas Eve of the next year when Victor Cruz had that 99-yard touchdown. That was sick.
My parents saw the OBJ catch in person.
Oh, that's crazy.
They didn't invite me to that.
You know what game I was supposed to
remember?
Go to? Oh, sorry.
Anybody remember quarterback Sean Hill?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that is the first quarterback matchup that I saw. Eli Manning versus Sean Hill. Giants versus Detroit Lions.
Wow.
Calvin Johnson had an 80-yard touchdown against the Giants in that game.
Holy crap.
We already know.
For some reason, I remember who Sean Hill is. I know, but I'll never forget him because I went to that game.
I was actually supposed to go to in 2016 the second game against the Cowboys where OBJ had that slant and scored, and my grandparents forgot I was coming up and sold the tickets, and my 7th grade self was crushed. Yeah, I was crushed.
Oh, I would have cried. My parents never really into games.
Damn.
I'm trying to get them into it. My dad's been like, his inner kid's been coming out like very like old school thinking of like, why do I need to go to a game? I could watch everything like on my TV. So that's kind of how I grew up. But now I'm getting my dad out of his shell, bringing him to all these Giants events, and now he's been having fun. So hoping now more Giants games will be more accessible to me.
Yeah, I usually go with my dad, and then we just talk about how crap the Giants are. But that's a story for another day.
It's always fun. Great bonding experience.
Exactly.
The last game I went to, it was just me and my brother. And my brother was having fun. I was stressed.
Last game I went to was with my girlfriend's dad, and Giants lost in overtime to the Jets. So I still haven't seen a win in 12 years.
Corp CA with another super chat. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Daniel Jones was supposed to be Eli 2.0, but instead his QB play reminds me of Dave Brown 2.0. Dave Brown, another Duke quarterback who played for the New York Giants and had a very unsuccessful career. I think that a lot of the Eli Manning comparisons for Daniel Jones were based on personality and demeanor rather than performance because, I mean, guys, Eli Manning balled out for Ole Miss in the SEC. It's a lot different than Daniel Jones putting up good stats in the ACC for Duke. Like, it's just totally different. So, he was supposed to be Eli 2.0 in the mindset of a lot of Giants fans. And, I bought into that at one point as well because I am a fan of the Giants. And so I got to, tie this into people always say, oh, once you go on that side, stay there. Don't flip flop. It's like, guys, I'm a fan of the team. I changed my mind. Yeah. Like, I don't want a player. We get the player. He's on the team, so now I have to root for him. So I root for him. He's bad. And then I say, okay, well, he's bad, and I don't like him anymore. Like, that's called being a fan. That's totally normal. And opinions change. Minds change. But anyway, I didn't see it with Daniel Jones coming out of college. I think I might have actually I actually cried that draft night when they took him. I was in high school. And I was really upset when that happened because my friend started laughing at me because he knew how badly I didn't want Daniel Jones. But you guys will know if you've been long-term viewers of the channel, as soon as that preseason rolled around and he started throwing those dimes, I was quickly on the Danny Dimes train and I bought a jersey real fast. Even though I didn't want him on the team, I got behind him because he's our quarterback. So, listen, I hope he proves me wrong. I don't have a lot of faith in him going into the season. You're right. His play is more similar to Dave Brown than Eli Manning. But I got to root for him anyway because he's on the Giants. And hopefully he proves me wrong and all of our doubts are false and he ends up balling out. It's just it hasn't been exactly the smoothest sailing for these past 5+ years.
I almost spiked my phone at the wall that draft day.
My dad was pretty pissed too.
Yeah, my dad came in to my room and he was like, he basically told me to shut the hell up because I was being too loud because I was screaming about how mad I was.
Oh no. What I was gonna say, I don't know if I didn't see it myself. My brother was telling me that they asked Daniel Jones if he feels like he has something to prove this year, and he kind of said he doesn't care about like what the haters are saying, that he just wants to prove like his supporters right. And I like that mentality. But to what Anthony was saying, everyone knows I love Daniel Jones. I'm a big Daniel Jones supporter. However, you can only use the same excuses for years. Like, yes, they ruined his development. Yes, he didn't have a weapon. Yes, the O-line was bad. But you got to stop babying him. It's year 6. He has neighbors. We have additions now. It's like not every football team is going to give you the perfect situation. And I'm not going to keep bringing up what happened your second or your third year as a Giant to try to defend as to why you still deserve to be a starting quarterback. I just want to win football games. If you can't win me football games, I'm moving on. I'm sorry that your past was really bad, but I need to look forward. Like, you can't live in the past at this point. Like, you have to look forward. You have to be super realistic as a fan. Do you seriously want to go year 7, year 8, year 9 still giving the same excuses as to why this guy's your quarterback? No. Get a new quarterback.
Yeah.
The conversation kind of reminds me of one quote, and I'm going to try and paraphrase it because I don't remember it exactly, and I can't remember who said it. So hopefully it jogs one of your memories and you know. But essentially, it was a quote like, we're going to die, like we're going to be done. The fans have been here before us, and the fans will be here after us, basically. I think it was something to do with Saquon Barkley. It might have been. It was something, but I thought it was related to Saquon Barkley in some way with him potentially.
I think it might have been Saquon.
Yeah, it might have been Saquon who said it too, even, and that's a really like real statement. Again, I'm paraphrasing obviously because I don't remember what it was, but it is true. Like fans, it was Saquon who said it.
It was Saquon advising Evan Neal.
You're right. It was Saquon advising Evan Neal.
They've been here before us and they'll be here after us. Fans are going to, rightfully so. They're going to boo. They're going to do this. It was Saquon Evan Neal.
There you go. Yep. I think that is the best quote that I've actually it was the most real and relatable quote that an NFL player has ever put out there. And again, I have not necessarily wanted Saquon Barkley so badly on this team for the last several years, but I always respect him, and I think he's an awesome person. Yeah. It sucks that he went to a team that I hate so much, but that quote, just highlights like awesome dude, first of all, and second of all, Giants fans who get really like testy about fans not liking certain players on the team, like they're loyal to the team, not to the players. That's what it always comes down to. Saquon Barkley had a really good grasp on that and really understood that, and that's really just what it is. So I know this is kind of like a random tangent that we've gone on here from a comment about Daniel Jones, but I just think it's a good way to highlight, like we're not loyal to any one individual player. I mean, I might have been loyal to Eli Manning. If Eli Manning started playing for the Jaguars whenever that was a rumor, I probably would have been a Giants and Jaguars fan. But that's a very rare and special occasion.
That was 2017.
OBJ. Yeah, 2017. I didn't follow OBJ when he went to the Browns. I'm not following
I had an OBJ Browns jersey.
People are going to hate me. That's what I was just about to say. I'm rooting for McKinney. Let's be real. We're not making a playoff run. I don't care that they're another NFC team. I will be rooting for the Packers. I will be rooting for my guy, Xavier McKinney. And if you guys see me posting a Packers Xavier McKinney jersey, I will take all the heat because it's going to happen. He's someone I didn't want to let go, and I absolutely love that man. I love his leadership. Packers fans already fell in love with him. He's already showing everything that we saw here on the Giants side. I absolutely love and adore that man. I'm following Xavier McKinney through and through, and if he wins a ring, I'm crying for him, like tears of happiness.
See, I was really happy when OBJ got the ring, but it was a bittersweet happy because I wanted the Rams to win, and I wanted the Rams to win because of OBJ. OBJ scored that touchdown. He started balling out, and then he tore his ACL. They won anyway, but it was bittersweet because it was like it hurt that he wasn't out there for all 4 quarters. But I'm very happy that he got the ring that he deserved, and he worked his ass off all his life to get, and he did have a good performance in the game. So, but I get that. John T thinks that you should just move to Green Bay. Kind of missing the point of the conversation here, but yeah, you know, like I only own one other team's jersey. I have a Lamar Jackson jersey. Love my boy Lamar. He's the GOAT. Big fan of him, but that's because I watched him in high school. So
I had a Clinton Portis jersey growing up. I had a
Wow.
I know a Brian Hawkins jersey growing up because I went to Philadelphia. Okay, dude,
you're being judged.
Actually, the beast. I don't care if you play.
I don't want to hear it.
The beast.
I do.
I didn't wear it. And then I had a Tom Brady jersey because my 2 of my uncles are Patriots fans and got me one while we were in Maine one year.
I remember I had another jersey. I did have like Jets stuffed animals growing up. I used to live in my aunt's basement. They were big Jets fans and they were trying to convert us. So every Christmas they would buy like me and my dad Jet stuff. Like, you can go on my Instagram. There's a picture of me and my dad's wearing like a Jets thing. That's from their family. They were just always gift us Jets things. So I had so many of those. Don't have any of them still because why would I keep it?
I also had an Eric Decker Jets jersey.
That's so random, Eric Decker.
So sick.
That's crazy.
I still rep.
I have a lot of memorabilia for athletes who aren't on the Giants. I mean, I've got a Namath ball, but that was a gift from like he gave to someone in my family, so it's different. I got a Rodgers ball that I got gifted, and I've got a Eli Payton. Payton never played for the Giants. Who else I got?
I have a Jerry Rice mini ball to me.
Zeke RBA. I got this Bryant RBA freaking Cowboys. Robert Woods.
Tough.
All right.
For some odd reason.
Made by Giants thinks we're frauds. I get it. Because the conversation, we definitely killed our credibility in the eyes of many Giants fans here. But listen, at the end of the day, we are loyal to our team to a fault. I've dedicated my entire life to the New York Giants at this point. Like, This is my livelihood. This is my career is New York Giants. So I don't think anyone can debate my loyalty to this team. But at the end of the day,
Catacomb, I do have a Bo Jackson rookie card, and I have a I have a Barry Bonds rookie card. That's like my prize possession.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Love that.
All right. Anyway, though, the 3 of us have a fantasy draft to go do. So we're going to wrap up this live stream here within the next 2 minutes so that we can safely make our way over to the Sleeper app. But, Allie, you got any last thoughts for the viewers tonight?
Let's go, Giants.
Will, you got anything more prominent to say than that?
I really have to pee.
I kind of got caught on the spot. Let's go, Giants.
Oh, we're all going to say it anyway because it's part of the outro. But my final thoughts, I saw Eric from Fireside Rangers in here a second ago. Let's pull that one up. At what point of the season do we see Tommy Cutlett step in? You already know. I rock with the Paisano. I want to see him play every game, but that's not going to happen. I don't know. Maybe we see him at some point during the year, but that's only if things go poorly. And I don't want things to go poorly. So hopefully we don't see him. Hopefully we do. I don't know. I can't give you an answer without getting shot. So that's my non-answer is going to be the answer. But pretty much that wraps it up. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. Comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. Listen on Apple or Spotify. Please make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, catch you all on the next one. Have a good one. And let's go Giants.